The drought of the 1890s decimated Kansas and the Great Plains. As the land and crops dried out, so did the farmers' income. Some responded by moving to cities, and others turned towards an unusual source of income: coyotes. In this video, we will explore how the drought and economic depression caused people to turn towards animal bounties as income. Farmers lost around half of their wheat, corn, and oats between 1892 and 1893, for example. They weren't the only people to suffer, however. While farmers were battling drought, the United States was dealing with the financial panic of 1893. Nationally, millions lost their jobs, and it was no different in Kansas. A writer in the Belleville Telescope summed up how bad 1893 was by listing all the issues Kansas faced. Quote, 1893 is a momentous year for Kansas, a mixture of drought, crop failures, bank failures, mercantile failures, disjointing of domestic circles, and train robbers. On top of the economic pain, a resident of Concordia, Kansas, described what losing the circus was like. They called it, quote, one of the saddest features of a crop failure. People were desperate for any income they could find, and coyotes just happened to be worth $1. After the last wolves were killed in Kansas, coyotes became public enemy number one thanks to misunderstood science that I will discuss in a later video. Because of that reputation, in 1877, the Kansas legislature approved a $1 bounty on every coyote killed in the state. For context, $1 in 1877 had the same purchasing power as about $27 today. The bounty was an incentive to rid Kansas of coyotes, but it failed. Desperate times called for desperate measures, and some people turned towards fraud. There are many newspaper accounts that refer to coyote bounties like this one from the Lawrence Daily Journal in 1892. Quote, no business in the livestock roll will pay better. Raising coyotes was a poorly hidden secret, and many Kansas papers made similar observations as the Daily Journal. Some writers called female coyotes a golden goose and told hunters they should be left alone as breeding stock. Quote, no one should kill the hen that lays the golden egg. If the business is to be continued, it is therefore a wrong notion to kill the old ones if they are expected to drive business with profit and to continue business at the old stand. Animal bounties as a source of income wasn't confined to Kansas. Sheep ranchers in Oregon debated raising coyotes instead of sheep because a single sheep was worth about $2 and a coyote scalp was worth $6. In the eastern United States, people even raised crows for the 10-cent bounty. Data from Riley County, Kansas, showed that payments increased during the worst drought years. I found that between 1892 and 1894, the average yearly bounty payments were $257 per person, and it fell to $127 per person after 1895. The higher payments were a result of the worst of the drought years and the panic of 1893. Between the data and newspaper articles, it is clear that people turned to coyotes as an alternative source of income. For many people in Kansas, the 1890s were a decade of drought, economic depression, and despair. While the soil dried up and the jobs went elsewhere, the coyote industry remained strong. Whether it was leaving the females alive in the wild or raising them on farms, people took advantage of the system in order to survive.